what's up you guys, this is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on The Quick Draw, Red Text can brag about its size all he wants, but leave it to me to tell you exactly how huge is the Zhuge. Now, this automatic crossbow has been lingering in DE's vaults for quite a while, initially being teased with the Chinese release of Wukong. Its beautiful Tenno influenced styling and the fact that it would be an expansion to the crossbow class of weapons left me extremely anxious to see exactly what we've been missing out on. But, as like most things we tend to get excited over, I have to admit it's nice, but the changes are far from Zhuge. Now, you can pick up the Zhuge's blueprint in the market for 20,000 credits, just be aware that you will need a couple Nitane for this. However, if you burn your Nitane reserves on other stuff that it's required for, you can always pick it up in the market pre-built along with a weapon slot and a catalyst for 125 plat. Now, the Zhuge's primary damage type is Puncture, with a decent amount of slash and a small sprinkle of impact. As we know, Puncture is the lonely man's damage type, making it perfect to go up against armored enemies when you don't have enough friends to run 4 corrosive projections. 3 if you're using Coaction Drift. In that case, ensure you equip the appropriate elemental combos in order to deal the optimal amount of damage, because ain't nobody else gonna pick up your slack, boo. Alright, so instantly you're going to want to know how this stacks up against the Attica, and the short and long of it is that the Zhuge is better, but only by a little. Now, as compared to the Attica, it does suffer a loss in base damage, from the Attica's 125 down to 100. However, that's about the only downside. It's got a faster fire rate, larger magazine, shorter reload speed, and also that status thing. It's got more of that. But where the Zhuge really excels is its increased critical multiplier. As we know, both the Attica and the Zhuge, when equipped with the fully ranked point strike, have a 50% chance to land a crit. Now, the Attica has a 1.5 times critical multiplier, while the Zhuge sits at a 2.0. See, this wouldn't have been a major drawback a few months ago, but with the addition of bladed rounds, adding another boost to critical multipliers, the Zhuge and its lower base damage still manages to narrowly pull ahead with a 6.8 multiplier as compared to the Attica's 5.1. Basically, it's a grower, not a shower. Now, speaking of the way this thing sizes up, surprisingly, with full builds tailored towards their strengths, on paper this actually beats out a Boltor Prime's burst damage. Keep in mind that I did say on paper. The big reason behind this is the fact that the Zhuge suffers from the same mechanical downfalls that the Attica had. With a moderate flight speed, a slight arc in its flight path, and a very noticeable recoil, it can be a bit harder to strike targets than its 40-point accuracy suggests, especially when going full auto. On that same vein, there are a couple things to note. First off, the Zhuge is considered a bow, which means that it gains double the fire rate from fire rate mods. However, with the amount of kickback this thing has, as well as its less than stellar reload speed, I personally choose to pass on them entirely. But for those of you who are into that thing, you'll be happy to know that primary crossbows like the Zhuge are coded to use rifle ammo, just in case you end up making the mistake of emptying your clip trying to hit one of those asshole Corpus drones at long range. Now, speaking of things that drive me crazy, can we talk? Okay, so sometimes I think DE is trolling me. Then I have to remind myself I'm just another kid on the internet making YouTube videos. But damn, we've got Seaman Blob Gun, we've got Seaman Spray Gun, most recently we have a gun that literally opens up its jaws dripping with semen, and sometimes I can't help but think it's a bit of a conspiracy. It's not, and I'm sure that it's just my imagination at work. However, when Red Text says shit like, "What's that you've got in your hands? Oh wow, it's so huge," you can't help but think that something is up in that office of theirs. I mean, sure, this thing doesn't look like it's got a pair of balls attached to it like the Brack or the Karak, and it doesn't look like a bent dick the way the Halicar does, but let's face it, it's a big chunk of wood that you gotta pump to make it penetrate enemies, and they decided to call it huge with a Z in front of it. And yes, for all you nerds out there, I am aware that it is the Chinese surname of its inventor and it's pronounced Zhuge. However, that is one brilliant cover-up for a dick joke. Alright, that's enough of me sounding like a crazy person. Let's get back to the quick draw. So all in all, the Zhuge, or the Zhuge, is actually pretty damn good, with its only real downside being its projectile flight speed and recoil, which to be honest may ruin the weapon completely for some people. Now if you can get past that, statistically it's fairly solid once you've got bladed rounds in there. Toss on the fact that this baby is silent and that it comes with an innate V polarity, and it's a pretty sweet package. Just keep in mind that since it uses a crit build, it will take a good amount of Forma to optimize. And if you're planning on using a fire rate mod on this thing, practice your burst fire skills, because with as much recoil as this thing is packing, completely unloading can be a very bumpy ride. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Quick Draw. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to check out my previous episode on the Dual Toxicist, as well as the latest episode of Dress to Kill, where I review the Dojo palette. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned to watch me pump more hardwood here at A Gay Guy Plays. A new crossbow, a 75 platinum discount, and 2 more days till the Azuma? This is lining up to be one solid week. With this kind of luck, I'll be marrying Paul Rudd in no time.